You are listening to the Centropic Oracle, an audiobook podcast of science fiction and fantasy short stories that make you think and feel.
Letting Go by Jennifer R. Povey. A light snow was falling as Charlie Reardon left the diner and made his way down Madison Street. He relished it. Snow was good, at least until it fell in such quantities that it shut the city down. For right now it was soft flakes that fell onto his hat, his shoulders, his gloves, his nose. It made him feel more alive, more real than he normally did. Snow was good. So was rain, but rain was less pleasant to be out in, threatening to fall through and flow through his clothes to touch his skin. He shook his head. On days like this he felt that Deborah was still with him more strongly than ever, sensing her ghost falling in beside him. She had always loved the snow, but it could not touch her now. A fancy, perhaps, but no. He was certain that she was there, watching over him, certain that it had been her who had saved his life 3 times now. There were ways, to be sure, but he was afraid to use them, afraid to consult with one of the ghost walkers. Creepy they were, especially the women, and most of them seemed to be women. The gift, it was said, passed through the female line. He certainly did not possess it, nor did Deborah. Mundane all the way back, his family, and had their baby lived, it would no doubt have been mundane too. He had never felt the lack until now, until that vague sense of her was all he could reach. "I love you," he whispered to the snow, then ducked into a coffee shop. Soup weather. It was soup weather. A girl, no more than 12, watched him as he headed to the counter. No, she was watching the space next to him. He shivered. They were creepy enough when they were not children, and she was young for her gift to have flowered. Or she was just a creepy kid messing with his head, the way children often did. Children liked to be creepy. He had, at one point, and he had hoped as he hit his teenage years to buck the trend, to manifest some small gift of magic. Nothing. He bought his soup and turned to lean against the counter, keeping one eye on the girl. If she was a prankster, she might try something she thought was funny. A child's humor was rarely appreciated by an adult victim. But instead, she leapt up suddenly, her eyes on him, and yelled, "Everybody out!" He ran for the door. You didn't argue. It could be a prank, but he did not think so. Except this time she had been looking at him, right at him, as if Deborah had been, for a moment, within him and part of him. Only, no. He ran, and as he did so, he felt Deborah's presence with him. He barely made it clear before the building exploded. Yet, had she been pushing him or holding him back? The girl was still inside. After the ambulances left, he sat, shivering. Not everyone had got out. A gas main, they were saying, and the girl amongst the dead. Her body charred. She'd let everyone else go first. They said that meant she would get some reward, but who knew for sure? The ghost walkers knew about ghosts, but not about what lay beyond. Deborah, he knew, was simply waiting for him to catch up. But now he felt her even more strongly. She loved him enough not to want him to hurry. He loved her more than ever, and now he knew he should do what he had been putting off. Not yet, though. And he stood and walked away. His appetite had not returned yet. For soup or for... He wasn't even sure. He almost wished the girl had shouted no warning, had let him die. Almost, because he would not have wanted anyone else to die with him. The kid had done her best. She'd been late, but she'd done her best. And Deborah had done her best, yet he felt empty again. Despite the snow that still fell down on him, he needed something to live for, and he was not sure where to find it, and the girl was dead. Her parents would grieve if they had not been. No, they had not been there, he knew that for sure. With a certainty such that he had not felt before, the girl had been looking at him. Had Deborah done something? Given him something? He knew he might never know, but he looked around. The snow was kissed with blue. Was he actually still alive? He had to be, for he left footprints behind him, but it was as if he had been touched. 4 narrow escapes. That had passed the conspiracy point. Touched by death. Was Deborah actually trying to call him to her? Not keep him safe? "I love you," he murmured. He felt her embrace him from behind, pull at him, and he knew. "But I won't join you just yet. Go. Go ahead and I'll catch up." She was not listening. "Go!" It didn't matter who heard him. They would think him either mad or gifted. Either way, he didn't care. "Get out of here!" He heard her voice then. "Charles, I love you." "If you love me, you'll wait or go, not try to take me." There could be other loves, other arms he could fall into, other eyes he could meet, other women who might give him the children they had not had time for. Was it unfaithful to think of them? He had thought so, once, but now he had changed his mind. He thrust her from him with all of his strength and all of his grief. After a moment, there was only the snow, and one last, "But I love you," an echo in his mind and his footsteps. He would miss her, but he would live.
We hope you enjoyed Letting Go by Jennifer R. Povey, read by CB Droege. If you'd like to make a donation to the author and narrator of this story, check out the story page link in the description and click the PayPal donate button, or pledge your support to us directly on Patreon. Would you like to submit a story to the Centropic Oracle? A link to our submission guidelines can be found in the description.